Our next presenters, I'm really excited for this presentation. So often in our communities, we talk about youth. We don't listen to youth, and so often we speak for them, and we rarely get the chance to hear from them. And this afternoon, right now, we get to hear from two incredible young people. Andre and Laryn are both advocates of treaty and culture. They both strive to live traditional lifestyles within the modern world and are both graduates of Oskayak High School. Andre is also a graduate of the 2012 Circle of Voices program, the program we just heard about. Laryn is currently in her first year in the Indian Teacher Education Program at the University of Saskatchewan. Andre will be entering the ITEP program in the fall. Laryn dances fancy shawl and competes all around Turtle Island at contest powwows and traditional powwows all over our territories. So please welcome, kindly, be loud, make them feel comfortable. Welcome Andre and Laryn.
Is this on?
Is this on?
Hello. Hey, everyone. So, Danse, Nichi Wagana, Gananas Kamtenua, Kakio Wagamagantik. Laryn and I both had our fair share of challenges throughout our high school experiences. With all odds imaginable stacked against the both of us, we stand here today having accomplished something that we are very proud of. There were distractions, roadblocks, challenges, temptations at every step of the way. And many times it felt that this was the way it was supposed to be. Looking at the statistics that show that because we are born First Nations peoples, we will be incarcerated before we obtain a high school diploma. Well, we still actually have to meet with our POs after the conference.
Hello, everyone, my friends and relatives. Soon is my Cree name, which means woman who moves to the front, but I'm also known as Luren Oaks. I'm Plains Cree, Meskwaki, Navajo, and Nakota, and I was given my name in the Sundance Lodge shortly after I was born. I'm proud to be from the Niga Cree Nation, and I'm very happy that my Nookum is here with us, right there, my Nookum Jean. And I would just like to thank Chris for having Andre and I here. It's a huge honor.
Thank you. Before I begin my stuff here, can you guys hear me at the back over there? You can? Okay, cool. That's good. Okay. Nasigasan wapastim kauto tit sigastanok napel. My name is White Horse, who walks from the East Man. I am also known as Andre Bear. Nia oche waskijusik. I am from the land of the White Thigh, also known as Little Pine First Nation. My Indian name gifted me my foundation to build upon spiritually. It was said that the white horse is the chief of the horse nation and the dog nation, representing leadership, the one who walks from the east, meaning it comes from a sacred place, carrying a message for the people and constantly in prayer. This is my spiritual identity. And it took me a while to understand the basics of who I am. There is still so much more to learn, but the rest is between the Creator and I. Education was an almost impossible task without first building upon a foundation of stability and understanding within myself. Until the foundation is developed, the growth of a person will never reach to the furthest of their capability. As a Nahio man, my foundation is the lands, the ancestral knowledge that lies deep within my bloodline. Where I find the most beneficial knowledge is through the 1,000-year-old ceremonial, cultural practices passed down to me from elders and spiritual leaders alike. To me, walking within balance is a lot easier said than done when two worlds constantly contradict one another's values and core beliefs. Society today has a very much different idea of education. Sitting within an institution, being told to remember certain things by an authority figure you are to obey in order to succeed and live a happy life, It then carries you on a capitalistic workforce where you will spend the rest of your lives until retirement. When applying for school, I had struggled being self-inflicted with the underlying fear of losing myself within colonial infrastructure. When I've worked so hard to find myself outside of these colonial boundaries. Not too long ago, I sat with a mentor of mine, and we spoke of my concerns in attending university. I spent time on campus, and deep inside, I became truly frustrated with what I've witnessed. Only because I see Indian people without an understanding of our ceremonies, where in school they will learn about theory and philosophy, without a single teaching of a pipe. She had understood where I was coming from, and had asked me the question, Andre, what is the greatest victory of one of our warriors? She said you might believe it to be was defeating someone in battle, or something along those lines. She said the real test was being able to count ku. And in this context, counting ku meaning going behind enemy lines, walking like them, talking like them, and finally restoring injustice, working within the system itself. Although it's true, not everyone has had the privilege of learning our land-based knowledge systems growing up. But what I'm saying to all of you today is that neither have I. I grew up in this urban setting of Saskatoon throughout poverty, alcoholism, and addictions. School was always a struggle due to the imbalance within myself, carrying undealt with emotional turmoil, intergenerational trauma, and finally, direct effects of colonialism. I was truly blessed to come across a culturally based school like Oskayak. Being kicked out of 4 previous high schools due to my own social dysfunction, the school taught me about these kinds of things our peoples face due to the genocide of the dominant colonial oppressor in regards to total control of our lands and waters. Education through a decolonized lens revealed truth and empowered me to carry on in learning more about it. I finally realized and accepted that I've lost my identity and took it upon myself to make it my utmost priority to recover what I had lost. I had to fight for it. It began with simply smudging, beginning my prayer, and having faith in a higher power. Believing in that higher power eventually led me to believing in myself. Before I move on, all of this was basically attending Oskayak High School and really getting into my culture, and I'm really thankful for that high school, but another huge part of it was one of our leaders of that school, our mentors, and our principal, Craig Schellenberg, and I think he's here today, but I want to give a big thank you to him wherever he is. He was always one of my inspired leaders. He was so smart, compassionate, also very humble. He would be, I don't know, I remember at a car wash one time, we'd be like hanging out with him there. He'd be like wearing a suit or something, and he'd drink right out of the hose. I thought that was pretty cool. From there, I began attending more ceremonies and came more in depth with my spiritual responsibilities. Attending ceremony brought me peace and empowerment. I had connected with elders within the community and began learning directly under these people, where I became an Oskapios, which in the English language translates to something like a helper of God. As an Oskapios, I go where I am needed. I go where I am needed without being asked or told to do. I help and do what I can. In return for doing this work for the Creator, you are always taken care of. It is our belief system that the grandfathers and the grandmothers who walk before each of you and look after you in your life guide and direct you through to your purpose. This is when I decided that I would fully apply myself to this lifestyle. I would have to give up many things, lose many friends, begin my sobriety, and work on myself and try to understand my true role as a man. After a few years of hard work, dedication, and faith, today I know just a little bit. I can stand before you all here and truly say that our way of life is real. And it is the most powerful thing I have ever witnessed. My job as an oskapios under a pipe means that I come last now. All people's needs must come before mine. All life, from animals to birds to plants, down to every last insect, is more important than my needs, and that I must do anything and everything that I can do to protect this cycle. This is the true role of a Nehio man, to provide and protect for all life. Decolonizing yourselves hurts just as much as being colonized in the first place. But when you think about it, if you were to put the same dedication and effort into our ways of life that you put into universities, even just for one single year, I believe it could alleviate some of the dysfunction we see in our communities, our home fires, and within ourselves. Even in this very moment, a lot of you may feel uncomfortable having me talk about our spirituality and our ceremonies and our ethics. The reality is, we are and have been since the time of creation a spiritual people. The society we live in today is so young compared to the millennia of these teachings. It is how we survive, despite these institutional walls around us. It is said eventually everything artificially and man-made will fall. It will be our spirits that live beyond. Today, it is I ask each of you to remember that, to give your own spirits enough respect to take some time into truly understanding it. Understand that sorry, I get messed up on my own creed. To understand the ayutan ganawak, is that right, Delvin? Aytayu ganawak, which means the grandfathers and grandmothers, the ones that sit in the four directions, watching over each and every one of you. It is true, times have changed, but all of the power and freedom we once held is still there waiting for us to wake up and use it. It's not easy, but it's something you really need to work for. This is what brought me to where I am today, and what will carry me throughout the rest of my life, and even on to the next one. I will never judge my brothers and sisters by the paths they choose. In the end, it is up to you. Gananas kamtin, nuwaga magantik, hi hi.
Thank you, Andre. I'm going to stand over here because I have the cordless mic, so it's easier. Before I begin, I just want to mention that Andre and I both have very different perspectives on education. So his perspective is a lot different from mine. And also, he's like my best friend. We always seem to be partners in everything, even in high school. And yesterday we were MCs at...
Elimination of racial discrimination.
Yeah, all of a sudden we were MCs at awards yesterday.
We were asked the night before. It was pretty crazy.
It was crazy. I come from a single parent home, and although I was supported by my mother in every way imaginable, there are challenges I faced during my elementary and high school years. I hated school during my elementary years, and the reason because of this was because I always felt like I never belonged in the classroom or in the school. I felt like an outsider, and I always acted like I would always pretend that I was sick just so I wouldn't even have to go to school. And my mom had to move me from one school to another school because my teacher at the first school treated me differently from the other students, and she always spoke to me in a more of a harsher tone to me towards me than the other students. And I always felt like I was invisible all the time at school. I was also very, very shy. I would never see myself doing this if I were to ask myself, little 7-year-old Laryn. I was very shy and timid, and then I didn't want to tell anybody. I always kept everything to myself. Then in my grade 7 year, 2 people came to my school and shared information about a grade 8 program that we could apply to. This program is called Eagle Quest, and it still runs to this day. I raced home and told my mom that I was going to apply for this program, and I really wanted to get into this program, and I was super excited and did all what was required to get in. I even got my mom to go to an information meeting with me so we could learn more about it. I got accepted, and this was the very first time that I was excited for school and to be in school, and I wanted to be in school because I loved learning. Our teachers were Shelley Leffler and Scott Thompson, and they're probably one of my favorite teachers to this day. This program included First Nations teachings. We went to ceremonies. We learned about the environment. We connected everything together where what we learned made sense to me, and it made sense to my world. I wanted to learn more about the world around me. Every day we would always have to bike to school, or we would always have to catch the bus because they wanted us to be eco-efficient with everything that we did. We also ran almost every single day, and before that I was not a runner. I never did anything. I was just a short, little, chubby, shy girl. And so I guess Eagle Quest really changed me. It also connected things from one subject to another, and I became more independent. We wrote in journals every day. It was the first time I led a parent-teacher interview where I actually had to do the talking instead of just sitting there and watching my teacher and my mom talk about me. This is probably one of the best programs that I've ever been to, and without it, I don't think I would be up here right now. I followed Shelley into the grade 9 program, and it's called Collective Voice, the Collective Voice program. It was based out at Aidan Bowman Collegiate. In this program, our voice was important, and they wanted our voices to always be heard. So every week, we would always have to write and produce radio show programs that aired on CFCR 90.5 FM. And we all had to produce it. We had to write it. We had to do the technicians, and every week we always had to plan something out. Everything we did was always focused on our voice, and we made connections to our environment and to immediate and internationally. And as we planned and fundraised for a trip in New York City. And again, this was another fantastic year, and I just want to make special mention to Shelley. I know she's here, and I just want her to stand up because without her, I would not be up here right now. So I just want to give her a round of applause real quick. Thanks, Shelley.
Oh, I didn't know she was here.
I have been very fortunate to come from a very traditional family. My family from Nigani, my grandmother Jean, or my Gookum Jean, sorry. My late grandfather Gordon Oakes, my mom, and my 2 uncles. They have always practiced the ceremonies, and we always go home for them. It has always been stressed to my sisters and my brothers that these are necessary, and it is important in our lives, and that we must always go home for them no matter what. My Gookum always said that we never had Christmas. Our Christmas time, when everyone goes home, is during the time of the Sundance, and that has always been important to me. So I consider myself to be very fortunate that I have that important part of my life, and I am still learning about my role as a Cree woman. I have been a powwow dancer since I could walk, and I still dance competitively to this day, and also for the enjoyment of it. I have been able to travel regionally, nationally, and internationally because of my dancing, and it makes me who I am. I know that my confidence in myself and in the direction that I want to go in my life were shaped by the teachings from my Niigaaniit family, and also from the 2 years that I got to spend with 2 of the best teachers, mentors, facilitators that I've been fortunate to learn from, so Scott and especially Shelley. So after I left Collective Voice, I went back into the regular high school system, and I carried my newfound confidence into my grade 10 year. And again, it felt the same. I felt like I was back to square one. Again, gone was the family feeling from grade 8 and grade 9, and the support system was not there. And I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere again. So I went back to that feeling of feeling like where I was alone again. So at the beginning of my grade 11 year, my sister Mallory and I told my mom that we weren't really feeling school, or we weren't excited to go back really. We weren't really into it no more. And so we talked about it for a long time, and we decided to go and visit some other high schools. So we went to Oskayak, And when we went there, the vice principal there made us feel important and was very welcoming. And this is where we stayed. So my sister Mallory finished her grade 12 year there, and I finished my last 2 years of high school there. I was happy again. I found my place, and my voice was important. My Creeness was important as well. We smudged every day, and we had elders in the school. We had teachers who thought like Shelley and Scott did and had that same mindset like they had. And Andre and I and other students wanted to take leadership roles, and we were encouraged to do so. And I want to brag a little bit about Andre and I, but Andre and I had put a proposal together to fly the Treaty 6 flag at our school, and the school, the principals, and all the teachers in school divisions supported us by making it a real deal. We had elders, veterans, and the media there, and it was another milestone in my high school career. So if you ever drive by Oskayak High School and you see the Treaty 6 flag, that's all us. Yeah. So I have 2 final messages that I want to share with everyone before I close here. As a young Cree lady who is now in my first year of university in the ITEP program, I want to be that teacher who can bring alive the engagement and happiness of every single one of my students. I want to connect whatever curriculum I'm following to my students' world, to the teachings of the community, to their language, to their excitement. This is what I want to be. I want to be the teacher that my students will always remember, and I want them to have that same experience that I had in school where I was actually excited to learn. And finally, as my late grandfather, Gordon Oakes, I always get shaky voice whenever I talk about him, but he always told his children and grandchildren to always walk in balance in your world. Know who you are, know your language and your ceremonies, and be the best you can be in that mainstream world, because you have to be the best because you are the best. Thank you for listening, and hi.
Let's go. Thank you.